On this episode in our Crowdcreate Insight series, I'm joined by Beryl Li, one of the founders of Yield Guild Games. She was also the founding CEO of an asset token platform called CapchainX and a founding team member at Coins.ph, a crypto exchange and blockchain payment startup in Asia, recently acquired by GoJek. She graduated from Cambridge University, where she sat as the president of the Cambridge University Cryptocurrency Society. Yield Guild Games has been making headlines around the world, so unless you've been living under an NFT rock, pun intended, you have heard of this project. In July 2021, Yield Guild Games launched their IDEO on SushiSwap's Miso platform, raising roughly $12.5 million in 31 seconds. They have attracted the world's top gaming and crypto investors, including Bitkraft, IDEO, Animoca Brands, Delphi, BlockTower, and Scalar. If you've been following our channel, you'll recognize the project from our previous guest, Miko Matsumura, who shared YGG as one of the most innovative projects today. So I wanted to just kick it off and just share some statistics. It was recently published by your team on a Medium article, and I just wanted to share some just to give our listeners some context. So we'll get into what Yield Guild Games is, but just some big numbers to know is in July, the number of YGG scholars, and we'll dive into what a scholar is, has doubled just in July. These scholars can range from, they're in Philippines, Indonesia, India, Venezuela, Peru, and Brazil. In that same month, $3.25 million was generated by these scholars in direct revenue. So that's a big number, massive user growth. So tell us, Beryl, tell us, what is Yield Guild Games and what are these YGG scholars and why that's so important?
Yes, so Yield Guild Games, or YGG, is a decentralized autonomous organization, and our objective is to be invested in play-to-earn games. So as an example, we actually acquire metaverse land and axes. So these are really cute pets to be able to enter in a game like an arena for Axie Infinity. And yeah, so we've been investing in a number of these games. And we start like breeding them, and we lend our assets out to our community of players.
So just to give a recap here, so in order to play some of these games like Axie Infinity, you have to have one of these NFT characters, which you're talking about, these furry, cute characters, correct?
That's correct. Yes, you would have to purchase them in the open market, and a team of Axies that would be 3 digital pets would most likely cost you a floor price of $1,500 right now.
So that's hard for a lot of people to obtain, and that's where the beauty and the concept YGG scholars comes in. So tell us about what is that? What's a YGG scholar?
Right. So this originated in the Philippines, in a place called Cabanatuan City. So this is outskirts of Manila. So it really evolved when so during the lockdown period, exactly last year, a lot of Filipinos who are factory workers, maybe taxi drivers, and those that have like really physical jobs outdoors, they could not work and they could not earn a living, and they don't even have much savings, and so they really need to find a way to earn a living, right? To be able to put food on the table and feed their families. And so this game became really popular, and it really exponentially grew within the city and then the rest of the Philippines, because they've learned that when they enter a game, they play, they could actually earn in-game rewards. So for Axie Infinity, it is in the form of smooth love potions. These are crypto rewards, which could be converted to Philippine pesos with a local exchange. And yeah, they use these Philippine pesos to be able to buy, like food and feed their families.
So interesting. And I know the whole concept was covered recently by there was an op-ed, I believe, through Vox. I believe that there's a video kind of covering the story of how people were making, and it couldn't have been at a better time, actually, because people were losing jobs, and this was a perfect opportunity. So thank you for that. And actually, there are a lot of people that thank the YGG team. I know Miko Matsumura was telling me about this Salama axes, and
Actually,
yeah, it's so interesting because the concept is just so well received, and your YGG Scholar really lets them tap into this new income. So, that's a little background about YGG and what you're doing. So I do want to talk about the headline. So it was all over CoinDesk, it was all over the crypto world, but you raised 12.5 million in just 31 seconds. You attracted some of the top investors, into YGG. Wanted to talk about a little bit about that and some of the investors that you were able to bring in.
Oh, that's right. Yes. So previously, before our public sale, we've actually raised a few like private rounds from leading crypto VCs. And our first fundraising round was sometime in November of 2020. That's when we've closed $1.3 million, right? And at that time, we thought that $1 million was a huge amount. And we just really want to get started. And our lead investor at that time, Delphi Digital, they really believed in us, right? And this was very, very new at that time. We also knew that not a lot of, like traditional investors or fintech investors would really understand what we're trying to do, like yield farming with gaming, and then just lending out, NFT assets, to earn rewards, right? So it did not really stick to a number of traditional investors, but here comes like BlockTower, Scalar, Gumi, like Mika Matsumura that you mentioned. They've been supporting us like from the beginning, and Delphi really helped us, like designed our tokenomics with us in the team. And yeah, so it really started from there. And then we were really surprised. There was more interest within YGG with what we're doing. And then, yeah, so we had subsequent private rounds up to a point that we're like, we really need to just open this up to, the public for more opportunities, right? Like to allow others to participate as well, as this is a DAO. So yeah, so that's what happened. We did the sale on Miso, on sushi, and we were really surprised because we actually pegged the price at 50 cents because we did not like any spikes, and we did not like other people to if there's just like demand, sometimes like prices during an initial sale just really, really spikes, right? So we were afraid it would go to $1 or like $2. So we did not really expect, right? We just thought, let's just cap it to like 50 cents. So we made that decision. And yeah, we were really surprised that within 30 seconds, it was just like all purchased. And when it was trading, after a few hours in like Sushi and Uniswap, yeah, it was actually trading at almost $2, right?
Incredible. It was
Yeah.
incredible. And I know 31 seconds is a very short amount of time. So I wanted to kind of pick that apart just a little bit. So I know you also attracted investors like Bitkraft,
We did.
a big, and also Animoca Brands, ParaFi. These are well known in the space. How did you bring them on at an earlier stage?
So it's mostly through introductions, right? So thanks so much to Scalar, to Delphi. So they've started introducing us, and Gabby has really been in gaming for a really long time, and has we've been yield farming from the beginning, and yeah, so we've met a number of people, and in the space, who really believe in the space. And those are actually the firms that have backed us from the beginning. So through introductions mostly.
Yeah, I actually learned about YGG through Miko Matsumura from Gumi Ventures.
Yeah.
But I do have to give a nod to Gabby, because Gabby's a really passionate individual in the gaming space. And sometimes I talk to him and he's like, hey, I'm just in the metaverse. I love it here. So
18 years in the making,
wow.
Gabby has 18 years of gaming development. right, experience. Like he started as a programmer
His
to build like games.
his story is fascinating. He's really the success both of you have well deserved and a long time coming. So on to that 12.5. So that was actually from, not only people wanted to get in so quickly, but that really comes from the community that you built at YGG. How did you build such a large community so quickly?
Well, first of all, I think there's high demand in terms of being able to borrow assets to be able to earn. So the number one concern right now during the pandemic is how do I make money? Because everything's on lockdown and people could not go out and earn money. And so Play to Earn and Axie Infinity became a beacon of hope for a number of Filipinos and emerging economies. Like we're also in Indonesia, Brazil, Latin America, those other countries, and Venezuela, for example. So it's becoming really popular in emerging economies where the minimum wage is really like lower, right? And they've just learned that if they play these games, they could actually earn from $500 to $1,000, which is a few times their current wage right now. So for them, of course, it's no brainer, right? Why would I expose myself to COVID when I can just be at home with my mobile phone and just play games that would actually earn me much, much more than my physical job? Yeah, sometimes these guys actually like work more than 8 hours. These are like 12-hour jobs, right? Making shifts as well, and they still earn so much less than what they earn from these rewards.
I think that's a fascinating concept, and I think it's difficult for us. I'm in the United States, and it's harder
Mm-hmm.
for them to understand because the value and the cost of living here is much higher. But in
Mm-hmm.
countries where it makes sense, and I know you wrote an article on CoinDesk about kind of the concept, but this play to earn model in these economies is extremely empowering.
I totally agree. Yes. So the play to earn model, or in some countries they call it GameFi. So it's a kind of a new term that's been coined. But yeah, so play to earn, GameFi. I think what's really important here is it allows people to make a living and earn money. And because they've actually earned in-game rewards for themselves, they actually have that. They could spend it any way that they want. They could actually they could actually use those earnings to actually buy their own assets eventually, like graduate from the scholarship program, because we lend the assets, right? And when we lend them the assets, what happens is 70% actually goes back to the player. And then because we actually own the assets and we breed them, so the protocol actually gets 10%. And then their manager, who helps onboard them and train them and helps, they actually kind of like their trainer. They teach them how the game actually works. How should they cash out their rewards to Philippine pesos, for example, or their local fiat currency. So they get 20%. So over time, when they end up like really earning these funds, they get to pay back their debt. And like debt in emerging markets is really like cyclical. Like it's after I get a loan and then I pay back, I get another loan, right? So um, uh, it's like a never-ending loop of debt, right? And now with Play to Earn, they earn much more than their wage, so they're able to just like pay back their entire loan. And second, if they actually have enough funds, their mindset really changes. So now they could actually decide, should I buy my own home? Like what we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
They're buying homes. Sometimes they want to give back to the community. And I'm really surprised that they set up like these charities and give like free rice or free, we call it lugao. Like, I'm not so sure how you call it. It's uh, do you know like in Chinese and you actually have rice inside?
Is it
Uh,
like a porridge?
Porridge. Yes, exactly. So it's like porridge, and I'm really surprised seeing that there's communities like giving out like porridge to the community,
Wow.
which makes me happy, right? Like which makes everybody supporting the community like happy that they that's their way of like paying back with their success. Third is they end up buying, they eventually start buying their NFTs, right? So instead
Mhm.
of renting out, they can afford buying their own assets, right? So in short, they've graduated from the scholarship and able to buy NFTs, and they end up breeding and they become a manager, right? So first, they have to borrow assets. So it's like going up the ladder. They borrow assets. They earn money from these funds. They're able now to buy their own assets. So now they save more from that 30%, right? The 20% for the management, 10% for YGG, and then the more that they compound their earnings, they actually end up breeding even more, and then now they set up their own scholarship to be able to lend out to other players, right? So that's the reason why it's like really growing as well, in scale, in terms of players with Axie.
I can see that. It's like a self-serving, and I know it's not just Axie, so there's going to be a lot of other kind of similar structures. But in that scenario you're describing, that is those vocabularies, and that's Axie
Mhm.
Infinity. So kind of, I kind of you walk me through kind of like the beginning. So they come on as a scholar, and then so they can get access to these platforms where they can make money, and then eventually they grow, and who knows, they might be even purchase their own NFT. And I can kind of see that growth trajectory for a person. But like as an industry, I guess this whole play to earn gaming model, like where do you see the next generation or the evolution of that? Like, where do you see it? Do you see it progressing beyond that? What do you see?
So yes, so Axie Infinity has been a great success. It's the first blockchain company that has a play to earn economy that has really gained a lot of traction. So it kind of like proved that gaming is here, gaming is now,
GameFi.
and yeah, GameFi, and play to earn really works. There's a lot of demand for play to earn games, right? Not only for Axie Infinity. So now we're seeing a rise of a number of other projects that may follow suit to like Axie Infinity success. So like at YGG, we've already started investing in what we believe would follow suit. So this would be in the likes of Zedrun, Ember Sword, we have invested in F1 Delta, Sandbox, right? Nifty Island. Yeah, so we invest in very early on, acquire some of the metaverse assets and NFTs, and then we're already starting to look at how to breed, what to build, and yeah, and we'd like to offer this opportunity to our community. So the concept of the sub DAOs are coming in, where so let me explain what a sub DAO is. So for example, the first MVP that we've done is with League of Kingdoms. We actually have an 86 like parcels of land on League of Kingdoms. And then that land we've even tokenized further. And a portion of that is actually owned by YGG, whereas another portion of that tokenized land is is offered to community members that are building on top of League of Kingdoms. So there's real productivity because the value of these this original parcel of land actually goes up depending on the productivity that's happening within that land, right? And so we want upside to the community members that are actually playing by building on top of that metaverse land, and we'd like to replicate that in most of the games that we have, and we're calling it sub DAOs, right? So YGG becomes an index of all these gaming activities within YGG. So whether it's LOK, whether it's Axie Infinity, whether it's Sandbox and Rev, right? F1 Delta, and so on and so forth. So
Which
that's the
is even
idea.
more fascinating because it's not just one game or one
Mm.
token. It's like you're also investing into, it's almost reinvesting into this metaverse lands, and then the community gets to partake in it. So it's it's really fascinating, Mona. That's what I was so interested in, and it's progressed ever since you started. I remember, like, this whole metaverse movement. It started off, and now today we see it has grown so much more and so much
Mhm.
deeper. And yeah, it's amazing where this industry has come. So yeah, so that kind of, we touched upon a lot of topics. I do also want to ask, from a general industry, how do people invest and be part of this whole play to earn model, like play to earn gaming, and not just in YGG, but like all together? Like, how do people get more involved and invest into those areas?
So one is like at YGG, we have done our sale so that we could extend our tokens, right? We call it like an index token of all our activities to anyone, right? So now anyone can actually participate in governance. They could be a member of this community, right? And they can vote, they can pass proposals, and be part of this growing community. A second one that we're doing right now is there's definitely a flow of value. So of course we've actually raised a private round from a number of these of our investors, and the value is accrued in there it's accrued to the NFT. It goes to the NFT assets, which we're lending it out to the community of players, right? So we buy these assets because of that investment that we've raised from this private sale, and that actually flows to the community because they benefit by just borrowing these assets, right? So yeah, so they can participate by just borrowing assets and play, right? Uh, if they want to make use of their time but they don't have the resources, then this is another angle for them to actually come in. They don't need to invest money and resources, but monetary resources, but they could actually come in with their time as a resource, right?
Oh,
So that's
interesting.
another angle. And then the third one is we've really designed our tokenomics in a way that 45% of all tokens um, is actually for the community, right? So some of it will be airdropping to the early participants at YGG, like managers, those who are our players who have been with us playing with our NFT assets. So yeah, so I think our priority is really our main users, right? The main users of the DAO, and the one really producing more like a productivity. So yeah, 45% of those tokens would go to them, and the value of those tokens, again, have been accrued because of our private investments, right? Because it just flows to the tokens that are airdropped to them.
That's amazing. So it's not only, it's a tremendous opportunity, but also for the people that are playing it and being part of the whole ecosystem. You're returning, almost like saying thank you back to the community by giving them a part of it.
That's
It's
right. Yeah.
it's beautiful. It's I'm so fascinated. And Beryl, I know this is thank you for sharing this time with us and kind of going over the insights, to how to get investors to even growing that community. In a few months, we might all be living in that metaverse.